Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Hey, look, everybody has had problems with the VA at some point or the other, and especially when it comes to getting your condition approved as a service-connected condition. There's two main reasons why you don't get your condition service-connected. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, consider being a member if you're not. Really appreciate it. It helps the channel. So here's the thing. I've done videos like this in the past, and every single time I'm a little bit baffled on, I guess, the smaller number of people that tend to click on it. Maybe it's the thumbnail, I don't know. But I always think to myself, there is such valuable information here. Every single veteran should have this information. Look, there's three key components to a successful claim. Let's be honest. You could throw it against the wall all day long, but look, garbage in is garbage out. So when you're putting together your package, it's not simply filling in the blanks and going, well, looks good, I filled in all the blanks, good enough. No, you must supply the proper evidence in order to get your claim approved from the VA. Again, there's two main reasons why veterans' claims do not get approved. Okay, the three components to a successful claim, the way that I always say it is, you have to have your time in service. That gives you your window of opportunity. Two is you have to have a diagnosed condition that's chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. And then the third is your nexus, the link between that diagnosed condition and your time in service. So it's not that the VA is saying, prove to me that the military caused your condition. That's not what they're saying. The VA is saying, prove to me that your condition manifested during your time in service or that it is a result of your service. That's what they're saying in a nutshell. Now, what happens is, let me switch it around here for a second. The veteran who is not aware of what it takes to have a successful claim and all the proper documentation is usually misled or believes that the VA is going to help them in some way with their claim and providing the evidence that's needed for it. I mean, why wouldn't you think that? The VA has this whole medical system related to it. So you have the whole entire Veterans Healthcare Administration. Why wouldn't they help diagnose me? Well, it's the wrong way to think, because they will not help you, at least 99% of the time. There are some small cases in which, if they determine that there is a condition that you should be service connected for, that they find along the way, they're supposed to help you out with that. But for the most part, the bottom line is that you need to make sure that you are supplying, as the veteran, all of or the surviving spouse or whatever, the whoever's filing the claim, right, needs to make sure that you are putting together everything that you need for that claim to be successful. So when you think about it, there's, again, the two reasons, so that way I don't lose track, I have to remember, why veterans do not get approved for their claim is, one, they either, here's number one, they don't supply the actual diagnosis. They never go get diagnosed for X. And it could be something very simple, right? Migraine headaches. I've had migraines ever since I've been in the military. After about a year of being in, I started getting migraines, and I know they're migraines. I don't need to go to a doctor to tell me that they're migraines. It's obvious. So I'm just going to file a claim, and I'm going to say migraines. And I'm going to file that claim along with my DD-214 and just say migraines, and here you go. Well, if you do not have anything in your medical records at all from your military service, the chances of you getting approved for that is pretty much zero. So you have now supplied the VA whatever you're going to supply them. The VA is now going to look, and if you've given them, the VA, authorization to gather your military service treatment records, great if you have something in there that speaks to migraines. But for the most part, 99% of us don't document that while we're in service. So they're going to get that back. They're not going to see anything there regarding that specific condition. And what they're going to do is they're going to go, well, you don't even have a diagnosis. So to us, the VA, you don't have that condition. So why are we going to chase this rabbit down the road if you don't even have the condition? You need to supply them with proof that you have the actual condition. Very important. And you will get denied 99% of the time because you did not provide the diagnosis. Now, there's always caveats, and somebody will probably put something in the comments, which is great and fine, and I love it because we need to have, open dialogue and things that contrast and all that stuff. A good example of when that's not needed is, hey, you were mortars in the Marine Corps, 81 millimeter, and you're blowing up stuff, and you have a tinnitus claim, the ringing in the ears, right? You're probably not going to need to supply them with an actual diagnosis. The CMP exam might just take care of that for you. So there's always going to be some sort of exception to the rule, right? But for the most part, you are absolutely going to need to supply that diagnosis. And look, it doesn't hurt if you didn't need to do it and you did it anyway, right? So again, garbage in, garbage out. So that's the first reason why people will get rejected for their service connection on their VA benefits for disability compensation. Now, the other reason why is because we as a whole think to ourselves, well, I know it started during service. Here's my diagnosis 5 years after I got out, or 15 years, or 35 years, or 50 years after I got out of service. Here's my diagnosis. Here's my proof of service. There you go. That's a service-connected condition. You better award it to me because I know it's a result of service or that it started during my service. Now, the exception here is presumptives, right? So taking presumptives out of this equation, you're going to be denied 99% of the time if you cannot or you do not prove the nexus, that link between your diagnosed condition, again, 5 years, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years down the road, you got diagnosed for X, you need to show that it started, that it manifested, or that it is a result of your time in service. You need to spell that out very clearly for the VA. If it's not specifically in your military record saying, hey, you have this, or you complained of something like that during your time in service, or some sort of residual effects of it. Maybe you didn't get diagnosed for migraines, but you checked a box that said, yeah, I've experienced migraines. Or you complained, yeah, I had migraines off and on, but you never really got diagnosed. That's okay. At least you have it notated somewhere in your records, and that can leverage for the nexus. But a lot of times, you're going to maybe be missing that piece. So now you're missing the nexus. You have nothing in your military records that speak to it. You have the diagnosis, which was the first reason why people get denied. So you have the diagnosis, but you don't have the nexus, the link. You don't have it spelled out for the VA, that it manifested, that it was as a result of, that it somehow appeared during your time in service. You don't have that spelled out. Now, there's different ways to do it. If you do not have it in your military service treatment records, what you need to do is you need to work on your buddy statements, your Nexus Letter, which I just did a video on, which is very important, right? In order to prove your nexus, there's different ways you can do it. The easiest way, obviously, is if you got diagnosed while you were in service, because then it puts you in the time frame of service that you got diagnosed for a condition. Therefore, it makes it service connectable. But if you got diagnosed outside of service, now you need that Nexus Letter from a medical provider, a doctor. Ideally, a specialist in whatever your condition is would be ideal. And they would then articulate that you're a patient of theirs, that they've seen you for X amount of time, that they believe that it is at least likely as not, that's the VA's threshold. If evidence is an equipoise, meaning it's equal on both sides, the VA is supposed to rule in your favor. I'm a fan of the, more than likely phrase over the as likely as not, but whatever, get whatever you can get. Get that in a letter with any sort of rationale. If you were, again, a mortarman or artillery person or somebody in a tank or whatever, or machine gunner, these are things that, maybe that MOS could result in migraine headaches, and have that conversation with your doctor. Maybe they will then articulate that in their letter and have that part of their rationale. So there's all kind, or tinnitus, ringing in the ears, whatever, right? So whatever your condition is, they will write up a story, and you yourself can research online, Google search whatever your condition is and possible causes of it, from military service, if you were at on certain ships, if there was asbestos and you have some sort of asbestos related cancer, were you on a ship that had asbestos? Do research on these types of things. If you had a certain MOS, right? Let's say you were fuel systems for jets, right? So you're in there sniffing fuel, jet fuel, over and over again, day after day. Maybe you got migraines from sniffing jet fuel, right? So you could research those types of things and see if there's some college, university out there that's done a study on it, or whatever other institute that's putting out studies on these different types of things. That then becomes part of your evidence. You can share that information with your doctor and have them cite it in their Nexus Letter. Now, their Nexus Letter doesn't have to be 15 pages long, right? It could be a little one-pager, half-page thing, and just say, see the attached references on, studies from here and there, right? Anything is good. It's coming from a doctor, ideally, again, who is in that field of expertise would be ideal, but even a general practitioner is fine. And they would then basically be solidifying your claim that it is service related. Now it's back in the VA's court. Prove to me, VA, that it is not service connectable. And if they cannot prove it more than you prove that it is, it's supposed to be in your favor. Now, I get it. They'll screw that up. More times than not, in my experience, they will screw that up, still deny you, but you know that you have a strong footing. And with that strong footing, you can now leverage your appeal process. And even if you have to push it to the board, it should get approved from the board, from those judges, because they are looking at that lay evidence just like they would any other evidence where your standard VA worker may not. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude it there. A bit long-winded. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.